Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back to another episode of Echo 4. This time we are starting a new review series. Guess what we're reviewing? Star Wars. Yep. Who would have guessed, right? But yeah, not just any Star Wars. The Bad Batch. As it just came out not too long ago on Disney Plus. And yeah, the first episode over 70 minutes long. Yeah, so pretty decent runtime. But yeah, we have a lot to talk about. So let's go ahead and introduce the folks around, starting with Brittany.
Hey, y'all, I'm Booty Monique, and I am excited for a new Star Wars animated series. I cannot wait to talk about it. Yeah, that's it.
What's up with you? It's your boy the Mad Prince back at it again. Damn, getting back to our roots, Star Wars, all that in the bag. I mean, if you couldn't tell the name Echo 4, it screams Star Wars. So we right at home. We at this shit, bro. Man, so hey, it's good to be back. You feel me?
Right,
Definitely.
good to be back in this universe.
Damn,
Yeah,
it's like right.
and it's your boy Ken Sign. Yeah, we're back at it again, as we mentioned, Echo 4. And so,
I'm sorry. Before I forget, I forgot to mention this. We have a podcast now. So
Oh,
yeah,
well, yeah, we
yeah,
have a podcast now.
we have a
yeah.
podcast. Now. Yeah, yeah. I was busy the other day, and I ended up extracting all the audio from all of our past discussion and review videos and upload them as a podcast. So yeah. I'll include that link in the description down below eventually. And uh, this video too will also be uploaded to that podcast. It's nothing special. It's just literally Echo for the podcast. So there you go.
But hey,
Oh, cool.
n-
I'm so excited.
now to get us in podcast version.
Mm.
So you can listen to our bullshit in 8D audio and shit. Let's go.
All right, so yeah, as I mentioned before, we're talking about the Bad Batch, and first episode is called what's it called again?
Aftermath.
Aftermath. Yeah, sorry. So Aftermath. I was thinking like Rapture, and like it was like some other more evil name word, but yeah, Aftermath, which is aftermath of uh Order
Jane.
order.
66. So
I'm glad somebody got that joke. Damn. All right. Let's go. I'm good.
I used to just land some jokes in there already.
I mean, you didn't catch it. It's whatever.
I'm thinking.
Somebody.
But yeah, so let's start with some first reactions. Brittany, you go first. What's your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts of the first episode. First of all, 70 minutes. I remember Will putting that in there, or Drea put that in there. I forget who it was. And I was like, wait, 70? Okay, Will, 70 minutes? That's damn near a movie. I could not believe they did that for the first episode. So I was already like
I had a nerve.
excited. You
I had a
said
nerve.
what?
Mm.
I had a nerve gasm.
Me
Well,
too.
yeah, I was like, wow, 70 minutes, like that's a movie. We're getting a movie here. But then I remembered that Clone Wars initially was a movie at first,
Yeah.
like a standalone movie in the
Mm.
theaters, and then the series followed right after that.
Oh,
So,
okay. So yeah, that was really cool. I definitely enjoyed my when did that come out? May 4th, so that Tuesday or whatever.
may the force be
Um
with you.
yeah, I was like, yeah, this is so cool. And then the whole episode was just like exciting. And I didn't think I was going to care about this group of clones, but I was like, okay, I'm really digging this show. That second episode, when we talk about that, I was like, oh, okay. I'm a little worried now, but the first episode, dope. Enjoyed it.
Mhm. What about you, Will?
Damn, this shit hit different, bro. Like I kind of didn't care. Like I knew who the Bad Batch was because of like Clone Wars and shit, and I kind of didn't like. Okay, so they really dragging the shit out. This doesn't really even feel like an entire spinoff. This feels like season 8 of Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Which I personally fucking like, and like it's different seeing like because all the clones they're really similar, even the ones they feature most prominently like
Rex and
Rex.
like
Cody.
right Rex
Mhm.
and Commander Cody and shit. They're all very uniform. They're all the personalities are very similar. The Bad Batch was kind of like that monkey, like kind of like the dark horse, kind of like the black
Mhm.
sheep of the entire like clone force. And like they each had their own personalities because they were really made to be that way. And they were like a really unique aspect of the whole clone army. And like when they introduced them, I'm like, oh, this is kind of lit when they did this shit in like what season 7.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
when they introduced them, Joe, I'm like, yo, that's really dope. And like seeing how they introduced and seeing how they made a series around them, I was kind of skeptical. I'm like, well, why the fuck would I follow a bunch of clones, even though clones are inherently different? And then you see the context of why they matter and why and how that differentiates between the situation of them going through Order 66 and shit. It's like, oh, this really makes sense because
Yeah.
like in remembering how season 7 ended with Ahsoka and
Mhm.
like all, and I'm like, okay, all
Like
this.
almost like a continuation.
Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
continuing. It's like a
Not only that, there's like references to fucking Rebels and shit, and seeing how that shit panned out because we saw
Mm.
Clone Rebels too, and how they kind of told a little bit of their story and how they dealt with Order 66 though, but you never really got the full picture of that shit. And like with this one, it's kind of like, oh, this all right, everything that's going on makes so much fucking sense. And like I'm really invested in like
Mhm.
characters and like because it's hard to get invested in like the clones in general because they're so similar.
yeah. So
But
one, yeah, they're the same.
they have a level of individuality that kind of that you don't see with any other clone besides
Which
Boba
stands
Fett.
out. Mhm.
Besides Boba Fett, because you know Boba Fett is Boba Fett. But
Badass.
yeah, so yeah, seeing how that
Django
shit
2.0.
seeing how that shit played out, I'm like, yo, I'm here for it. And
Yeah.
like you said, like yeah, like 70 minutes though, that's a whole movie. Like yeah, you're right. Because I remember watching like the Clone Wars movie. Well, when I say watched, I was 18, I was broke, I was a college student, I pirated the shit out of that movie. You know, that shit was dope. And I'm like,
He
okay.
paid his dues since then. Just so for the record.
I remember watching the original Clone series from what Gendy Tarkovsky or whatever. I can't pronounce
Yeah,
it.
yeah, the 2D, yeah, the 2D one. Yeah,
I didn't see
that one.
that one.
Oh, I love that one. That first,
Oh, yeah,
that's
bro, I used to have the DVD for that shit. I think I do still have it, but that shit was fire.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, like seeing that expanded and shit, Joe, I loved it though. But like seeing like Bad Batch, it really made me invested and like Clone Force 99 in these fuckers because every last one of them is a character in their own right. They have
Right.
reality you don't see with a lot of the other clones. And so, and like this whole element with Omega, I'm not gonna get into that one, but yeah, I love
Yeah,
it.
we'll definitely get to Omega at the end. Ha ha. Uh,
Funny.
actually, no, it's not gonna be at the end. Anyway, uh, but yeah, I really also enjoyed this episode because yeah, when it first introduced the Bad Batch in season 7 of Clone Wars, like okay, yeah, they're designed to be different, you know, to be unique, but like their caricatures were a little too one dimensional in the episode they were introduced. But then again, there was their introduction. Of course, they had to show their strengths and their weaknesses to kind of lay that foundation. Okay, Crosshair is the marksman, for example. Wrecker is the big brute, you know, things like that. They had to kind of establish these kind of
Yeah.
But so I was like, when they first said this show, I was like, okay, this will be interesting, but I didn't really see how deep they could go in this character development. But this first episode kind of showed that yeah, they really thought through with the not just the backstory, but the overall depth of these characters, because you can see through this whole episode like the character building increasing gradually to a really good pace, I would say. Even like some of the subtle scenes where like they're like trying to gather their stuff before they leave, like the little bunny, for example, that Mugga found. But we'll get to that too. But Shahandu,
that was funny.
He got in there record, got a little bunny. But yeah, overall, yeah, I'm glad that they really put a lot of work in the character development for this team, and it also shows that they're so different, but they work so well together. So that shows in this episode. So overall, yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and also the fact that it's bridging the gap between Revenge of the Sith, Clone Wars, and Rebels. All in one will go basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, going on with that. With the first big scene, I would say that occurred is their take on Order 66. So with all that, how that went down with their assignment on what planet was that? So many planets.
I forget the name of it too.
It's 2 syllables. Sarkis, something. But yeah, it's just start with a C. But they're on that planet, working with as reinforcements for Jedi Master and her Padawan, along with Clone Force. And trying to remember the name of the Clone Force exactly, but they come to support them, and then while they're helping them out, that's when Order 66 goes down, and the Master goes down, and then you see the team, trying to follow orders, but they're confused because they didn't get the orders. So you're seeing all the other clones, the regs.
No one did.
Yeah. Well, yeah. More like he perceived the order. But we'll get to that part about that particular.
Orders are orders.
Follow orders.
We got to do.
I didn't think his lips could get any smaller
because you're going so Hunter.
His face is shaped over like. It was like, bro, where you gonna put that toothpick? You don't have a mouth.
I know, bro. He's giving the villain vibes immediately.
That's how he uses masters, like a toothpick. Yeah, open his mouth up. But yeah, so with Hunter chasing down the Padawan and then letting him escape. What you guys' thoughts on like the team? Well, not just the team, but also with Hunter making that decision of letting the Padawan go when he always follow orders and always make sure the mission is complete.
Well, you want to go first?
Will?
Sure. So long as this is a discussion, and we gonna spoil. If you're watching this video, chances are you've already watched it, and if not, then why the fuck are you watching this video?
Yeah, drop us a like though. Drop us a like.
Yeah, drop us a like on that in a bag of chips. But the reality is,
it's not a bag of chips.
I don't know. You know what? You know what's funny? I don't know why I say that on camera. I don't say that in real life.
All right. I'm like, damn, man.
No, I don't say that in real life. And yet I say that on every time I'm looking at the camera. I say that shit. I don't.
In a bag of chips.
All that in a bag of chips. I say that shit constantly. And I don't know, man.
Maybe because you wish you had a bag of chips. Why?
No, only when he's recording.
This whole persona has done something to me over the last 10 years. Okay. So for context, the Jedi and the Padawan. What's Depa? What's the old girl name? Depa what? I'm literally asking you, Ken, because you should know.
Yeah, it started with D. Depa it was like a weird pronunciation, but Depa and then Caden.
Depa Billaba? Yeah, Depa Billaba and Caleb Dune. Now I feel like and you know what the thing about Depa is the fact that she got trained. She was Padawan to Mace Windu, which kind of like, bro, you should have handled that situation better. But
Will,
she could. Yeah,
she was shocked. That's shocking.
Hey, you know what? No, because Mace Windu, just out of everybody in the Jedi Order, the only person who could either challenge or beat Mace Windu was Count
Yoda.
Dooku or Yoda. Like them, the only ones that could really try him.
Yeah.
Everybody else would have just got the ass felt, especially Mace, because Mace was at a point where he didn't give a fuck. He will kill your ass.
That's how he became master of the council.
Yeah, and like fucking
and that's why he's more like he was sharing with Yoda.
Django found that out the hard way. So the point is, like, I feel like Dapper, like, damn, Dapper, you kind of went out. Kind of, yeah, like, I don't know.
Maybe she was worried about the Padawan too. Like she also had that in the back of her head.
Yeah, but I'll say a little too worried. Also, is it just me or that Padawan had a deep voice?
Bruh, sound like a bro man. Bro man.
Boy, sound like he was 27.
I'm like, boy, why you out here sounding like Corpse Husband? Get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, granted, they use the same voice actor who voiced Caleb Dune, and you can see he tried to like voice it at a higher pitch. It's like, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when they brought Donald Glover to voice Miles Morales.
Oh.
No, to voice Miles Morales in like the Ultimate Spider-Man series. Because like the biggest complaint was like, yo, Miles sounds older than Peter Parker. And like Miles was 14 at the time. Peter Parker was like 18 or 21 or some shit. So it's kind of it was weird. So that's kind of
if they had the Donald Glover from like when he was just a rapper with high-pitched voice.
I get why they did it. But that whole situation, that really puts, I mean, the reason why that situation even happened was mainly from a narrative point of view. The reason why that situation happened was to like to make a direct link between this and Rebels. And like that's one of the dopest things about like these the 3D animated shit, is because it almost exists in its own ecosystem. Like for Clone Wars. We got Clone Wars and shit, then we got Rebels, and like granted, I was upset when they canceled Clone Wars and shit and gave us Rebels, but Rebels ended up being pretty decent. And so you see all these sort of like links come together. And like from a narrative point of view, that shit's amazing, Joe. It's like these collection of stories exist in its own ecosystem within a much larger universe, and seeing how they kind of intersect and interlace with one another, that shit is dope.
Yeah, it's really good storytelling.
Very good storytelling.
Dave Filoni, Joe, bro, like this probably ain't family friendly though, but you probably need your dick sucked like 24 hours a day for that shit, bro. Not by me.
I was just about to say,
not by me, but by somebody, because what you've made here is fucking amazing. Like,
insert disclaimer.
And yeah, especially what you did on that one episode, one episode of Mandalorian, boy. Shit, that is like my favorite episode of season 2 of Mandalorian. Like,
it was dope.
That shit was dope, but we're getting off topic. We're talking about as far as I thought about it though, it was really interesting to see, and seeing how that sort of like, I mean, because think about it. If you fought alongside a bunch of people for like years on end, they saved your life, you saved theirs, there's a camaraderie there. So seeing them suddenly turn on you, it's fucking I'm sorry, I got liquor burps. I'm trying to fight through it. So yeah, seeing them turn on you inexplicably, it creates a situation of like mixed emotions and shit. And you kind of saw Caleb fighting through that shit, and like seeing how that happens, and seeing why he feels the way he feels about clones in the future. Because you saw when he met Rex, Joe, that shit was different. So yeah, it was definitely an interesting perspective to explore, even though it was one that that
We have
they
seen
didn't
before.
they didn't spend it was one they didn't spend a lot of time on, but I feel like it was one that they didn't need to spend a lot of time on because it said a lot in that whole interaction between Caleb and Hunter letting him go and seeing the way Crosshair handled that situation. But yeah, that's my opinion.
So as far as that whole situation, I didn't know we were gonna start right at Order 66. And I was like, God damn it, why do we keep seeing this shit over and over and over again? Different Jedi's
It
dying.
was real. It
I
was
know.
real.
And I know it was a pivotal point for that time frame, but God, it was so, it always makes me so sad, especially the look on her face, because I know she was just confused, shocked. She wanted to make sure her Padawan was safe. It was just so much going on. And honestly, if I was her, I don't know if I would have been able to survive myself, because I would be thinking about my Padawan surviving more. So on that note, Hunter, it just like, I feel like the first scene just kind of shows how different they are from other clones. So I was just like, okay, this was a good starting point. And it made me like Hunter just right away. I was just like, oh, he's not trying to kill him. He's trying to, I don't know what he was gonna do with with Caleb, but he wasn't trying to kill him. So, but Crosshair was just like, he was a wild card. So I was like, I don't know how the hell this is gonna work out and y'all in the same group. But yeah, I thought it was a good, strong beginning for sure.
And then just the instant switch with the regs of like just reiterating and reinforcing the notion of that switch, how this went from like just noble, like kind of like white knights that are kind of like, you know, that's the best soldiers in the galaxy, to just instantly become more, you know, tyrants or just oppressors basically, Imperials basically. And how it shows how beneficial and also how unbeneficial it is to have an army made entirely of clones, because it could be turned on against you like this, in a sense. How the people, you know, thought the clones were fighting with them, and all of a sudden they're locking them up, you know, forcing them to, you know, register and chain codes and things stuff. But yeah, so Order 66, once again, see that. I think with every piece of content that touches up on this era, we might see some iteration of that going on again.
Right.
So, but with that, when we're not talking about how Crosshair is following orders, there's a particular someone in the name of Tarkin who takes a particular interest in this particular someone. So I think they kind of hinted something more when that scene, when Tarkin was asking about the inhibitor chips and how if they can enhance the effect. And later on, what they did with Crosshair, I feel like that's just going to be the beginning. Do you guys think they could be lead on to something more of like him trying to see what he can do with the clones potentially, as far as maybe try to use that inhibitor chip to control them or change them more? Not just Crosshair, but like also the regs. So you may see like a devolution of the clones in this series as well. So I'm just wondering, like, do you guys think this lead on anything, or is just a simple, just like go just turn Crosshair around?
Yeah, you know what? Because we obviously know what happens to the clones, and they ended up going with the recruiting and taking people's babies and making them into stormtroopers. So obviously it's I don't know what to think about that. I just thought that Tarkin was just like, you know what, this clone I can use for my personal gain, almost like a hitman or something. I don't know, like his little personal little bodyguard or something. So yeah, I didn't really think about like what he seemed like he doesn't like clones. So that was the vibe that I got. So I was just like, yeah, he just probably like, I like this one because I can control him. But the other Bad Batch and the other ones, the clones that we have now, I don't want to do that shit. Costs too much money. I don't want to do that shit. So, and I like that they went into that too, because I was always curious of like, why did they switch? Why did they get rid of the clones and not continue it? And it was a financial thing. And it makes so much sense. If you're trying to start a whole new empire, you got to think about the money part. And a lot of times, Star Wars don't go into that part. They dabble, but it was a little more like prevalent in this episode. So I like shit like that, because that's going into like politics and how that shit works.
Yeah, the logistics of it.
Yeah, the logistics.
But then we went to Exegor and trying to figure out how the fuck did this happen.
That was
exactly. They actually addressed that shit in the comic, but I think they did. Not really, but it's like, but yeah. Exit, you know what? Exit, that's an entirely different conversation. I'm sorry I even said it.
Yeah, I was like, bro, no, not that bag of chips.
No.
Okay. There we go with the chips.
But yeah,
that's all I got on that one.
Okay.
All right, yeah. So Tarkin's an asshole, basically. He doesn't like clones. I mean, honestly, a lot of people don't like clones. I mean, there's Jedi who don't like, because you know what, the whole thing about the clones' existence is already sus from the jump to a lot of people. And like even the Jedi Council knew it, but they decided to go ahead and keep fucking with them. Anyway, I'm like, yo, this is literally a plot to destroy y'all, but y'all really again, another conversation. The point is this: Tarkin probably the reason why he really was interested in the Bad Batch is because of the individuality, I think, and because I guess. Yeah, their abilities, because they were different. They were the black sheep. They were set apart, and like they had abilities and skills that were atypical of the rest of the clones, which is why I think he really tried to hold on to again, liquor burps. Why he tried to hold on to Crosshairs the way he did, especially after he found out that like his inhibitor chip was like partially active, I guess, and just decided, yeah, let's turn that shit up to 11 and say fuck all. I mean, So yeah, but as always, my policy is fuck Tarkin. That high cheekbone having motherfucker.
I'm a little jealous of the high cheekbones. I mean, it's nice, but go ahead.
Again, I mean, that's
paid for by the Empire.
Not to sound like a misogynist, but that's like womanly problems. But
it is.
Fuck Tarkin, though. Fuck Tarkin.
Okay.
Fuck Tarkin. Fuck Tarkin. Fuck Tarkin. Fuck Tarkin. Fuck Tarkin. That's
but it's because of that I feel like knowing Tarkin, he may have some more plans ahead with something, because I feel like it's just because it's not just with Crosshair. I feel like if they're after the Bad Batch, they're not exactly trying to kill him. He wants to gain their abilities.
He would like. I mean, chances are, if he can make more enhanced clothes like the Bad Batch, he would. And he was trying to gauge like the viability of that shit. Yeah. So
can I just say also that when they had that trial, that test fight. Those giant clone B2 hybrid robots, like the droids that came out towards the end, like, where's this in the war? Where are these in the war? These will wreck all the droids. Why do you use this instead of them?
That was a cool scene, by the way. I like seeing them work together and how they just kind of adapt to any situation, which makes them so special. So yeah.
That was literally the definition of the expression nigga. Like, yo, like, bro, why? Like live rounds and shit, bro. Yeah, that shit was.
That was crazy.
Record took one to the chest and it was like, all right, just brush it off. Like, man, most people gone after that. But yeah, so after that little test run, Tarkin tries to reward them with a little special mission to take out some insurgents. So, guess who we saw?
Saw Gerrera.
Wow. Fuck you in that pun. I mean it.
Oh,
What? Really, Brittany? You just now noticing that shit,
That's who we saw.
bro?
I'm so sorry.
I'm drunk off my ass, and I even saw
I
that
need
shit
some
coming.
more. I need some more coffee.
Uh,
All right.
Bro, I'm fucking dead, bro.
Shut
I'm
up,
dead.
Will.
don't fall your topic, man. It's gonna be hard to fly in that trench. Getting out of control now.
I'm drunk as shit in this trench, bro. I'm mobbing in this bitch. I'm just here. I'm here for the check. All right.
You so silly.
I'm here for the
Yin-Yang
check.
twins in that trench.
That's Luke's problem.
But yeah, so yeah, we saw along with his batch of rebels. So they had their little clash, and they had a little moral moment where of course, the Bad Batch was captured. Or they surrendered, and they had a little discussion with Saw, and kind of gave them more of a different perspective, the civilian perspective of what's going on after Order 66 and the sudden transition from Republic to Empire, and then how like people who thought they were fighting for Republic now all of a sudden kicked out, and they're all of a sudden the pressure is just like, okay, I thought you guys were fighting for us. Now all of a sudden there's a whole new entity called Empire now, and then now all of a sudden we're the outcasts, we're the ones getting oppressed, and they probably felt like they were becoming the separatists. And so with that encounter and that, I say, point of view that Saw and team showcased to the Bad Batch, do you think that's kind of like helping them open their eyes to separating from the Empire? And what I mean is them. I mean, they don't seem like they were part of the Empire from the beginnings, but
Yeah.
because they're like, fuck this.
I think it's a very interesting like concept that they're tackling, because what do you do when there's a sudden change in power? You're just like, oh, okay. So obviously, I think it was Crosshair that was basically like, okay, Republic,
Yes, that doesn't matter. Follow orders.
Empire, right? Is we just follow orders. But then what happens with the civilians? It's just like they get displaced, or they get, all of this stuff it's just chaos right now. And they're trying to figure out their place in all of this, especially because they're not like the typical clones. They're not just following orders. They have morale, like they empathize. And I like seeing that interaction with Saw and Hunter specifically, and having that conversation. I think that was really like what kind of like drew me into the show all the way. Like I was digging the beginning and everything, and when Tarkin came, and I was like, okay, I kind of see. But that interaction between those two, for the group and Saw, I was just like, all right, I see what y'all doing, Star Wars, and I'm down for it. So yeah, I liked it a lot.
You think they're gonna work together sometime soon?
I think they have. Yep, I do. I do think they're gonna work together every once in a
while. Shit. I've as always, I got mixed feelings on Saw, to be real. But that was interesting to see that interaction. Like seeing how like the people who would just get caught up in the shit, caught up in the crosshairs of like, I mean, literally a fascist regime just attempted and succeeded in a coup d'etat and just taking hold of the galaxy. Like bro, like along with that shit is getting they're getting swept up in that shit, and like either they can get with it or they can fight against it. Saw, the thing about Saw is that I don't know. Maybe you start to see when like the moment he starts taking like more drastic actions against the Empire, because I don't think we really explored that. I mean, we've seen Saw. Like we seen like people interact with Saul and shit though, but like he's always been like a freedom fighter, but we never really seen the point where like the alliance just kind of write him off as an extremist. Like maybe we'll see that shit happen at some point. It's just like, yeah, because we see him like, okay, so this is Saw Gerrera, ally, all that and shit. And then like somewhere down the line, we see another episode and like Saul's doing a lot of such shit. And it's like, what the fuck? How the fuck did we get to this point? So I would like to if they're gonna include Saul in this series to some degree, I would like to see like the moment where that balance sort of like tips when like he goes from freedom fighter to like sort of like
Flag Smasher.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. He becomes a flag smasher.
Okay.
I would like to see that happen. I would like to see that explored though. But I don't know. I think here's the thing. There's a lot about this that I can't really guess about because it's like we never really followed like a storyline involving exclusively clones. And so I really can't, because like usually I'm really good at kind of like following like potential narrative plot lines and shit like that, but like I can't follow it because the clones have never really been featured so prominently in this way. They've usually been secondary characters, like tertiary characters, so on and so forth though. But the Bad Batch,
standalone episode for Rex or something here or there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but the Bad Batch, they are the stars of the show, so it's kind of hard to determine like how the path can like really come about. I have an idea though, but again, that's probably going to come later on in this conversation, so I will not address it now. But those are my thoughts.
But yeah, with this Bad Batch, after that encounter with Saul, they encountered yet another clone like them that's unique as in the Omega, in which off the bat you're just like, okay, this is something different because one is a girl, so like it's up to this point every single clone has been genetically the same gender. So the fact that the very last clone is not only a girl but also I thought the hair is different color, different style and everything, like it's just that a lot of different traits about it. Like it's more like is she really a clone at this point? I mean, it's like a clone, but if she's been altered so much, then would we really consider her a clone? At the same time, what have they altered her with to make her so special? What do you think she's special with? I was like she has something really cool. No idea though right now.
I know. I feel like I'm kind of just like trying to figure her out. Like, obviously, she got good aim because I saw when she shot at Crosshair. I was just like, okay.
She still is technically Django, so she's still probably gonna sling that gun around and pop some people.
I was like, okay, all right, she a sharpshooter. That's cool. But like her existence, it don't make sense to me yet. I like that she's there. I like that she's a girl, and I like that what basically she's there to. I don't know the word for it, but I feel like she's there for the Bad Batch to not necessarily protect, but to kind of make them more well-rounded. To have like this little girl that is a clone like them, and they're just like, okay, we want to make sure, almost like the Mandalorian in the Baby Yoda situation, like you automatically like care because they're trying to keep this little girl safe. So that's a element that I do like, and I feel like Star Wars always at the end of the day is about the kids, like about how the next generation is going to survive in this. So yeah, they sticking with it, and also it's on Disney Plus. You still got to have some sort of kid in there.
Yeah. It's for all ages. Gotta have all.
Exactly, in all genders. But yeah, I like her. I'm excited to see what she would do in the show, and she's not annoying, so that's a plus.
A non-annoying kid.
Yes, thank God. Yeah, but that's all I got for Omega.
All right. Biggest question: how is it that a New Zealand accent is just hereditary like this? And where is y'all picking this? Where is y'all picking this shit up from, bro?
I'll admit, I did kind of laugh at the accent. I was like, "Wow, that's
the island that Tamora Morrison is from."
Yeah,
it's not that far away from Samoa, which it's over there.
No. I know that in real life, he's he's New Zealand because
Mhm.
he's Maori. What I'm
Mhm.
trying to figure out is within the Star Wars universe, when y'all
What?
making these clones, how is it that they have the same fucking accent, yo?
I mean, all
Like,
the
I could have assumed that an accent was a learned thing. Like, bro.
well, yeah, but I mean, yeah, but I mean, it's genetic. They probably built genetically into them. They are clones, so because it's like, oh, not might not make it easier for them to
I
understand.
mean,
how to
let's
say-
not go into the old accent debate on Star Wars anyway, because there's
Yeah,
a
because
lot
all
of
the
like,
Imperial officers talk like they're from Britain, so like,
yeah, exactly. So
Bro,
they switch
like
on and
those-
off with these accents.
Yeah, like what was it, man? What was the name of them people who ran the Trade Federation? I forget
the Nemodians.
yeah, them motherfuckers. They sounded fucking Asian. I'm like, bro, this is kind of racist, low key. I ain't gonna lie, but you know, that's an entirely different.
can't get through these shoots.
I
Episode
know.
one.
I'm like, what the fuck is? Yo, it's like I'm in Chinatown. Why
I
y'all
actually,
fucking
I'm-
doing this shit?
You know, Trade Federation, and then Chinese government.
Viceroy.
Yeah, yeah.
That the Viceroy. That's what I'm thinking. Like
Yeah, Viceroy, yeah,
them
like-
motherfuckers. Yeah, they.
it's like similar to like Chinese like commerce like giant. They're a
Yeah.
commerce giant. And, yeah, just-
Yeah, because like Star Wars does a lot of that shit with a lot of its races. They base like accents over like very specific things. That's why everybody from Coralia sounds like they're American, and why people from the core world sound like they're British and shit like that.
Mhm. And the Twi'leks are like French, so that's cool.
Okay. So when it comes to Omega, yeah, she's an enhanced clone and so on and so forth. I think she's not there just to be a kid. She's a major plot point to this. My guess would be like knowing what everything else that I know about Star Wars and how like shit progresses and shit. I think that Omega is a force sensitive clone. For the fact that how she reacts when she shot Crosshair, like Crosshair is like expert marksman, master marksman even and shit, and like she just straight up shot his ass, and it's just like, and she just kind of says shit that's kind of like, I don't know, I can kind of feel what he's doing. Is like she says certain shit that just kind of infers that she has insight that the rest of them don't, and like given with the fact that Palpatine is spending so much time trying to make a force sensitive clone and so on and so forth. I think that Omega is like a successful product of that specifically. I think she's force sensitive. I think she's the first force sensitive clone, and it would make sense for the fact that she is so different from every other clone before her. Even the Bad Batch, they're more similar to the rest of the clones than Omega is. I mean, they look like them and shit, though. I mean, granted, there's like differences though, but the similarities are there. It's just that one, she's a child, one, she's female, different hair, so on and so forth. Somehow she still managed to have that fucking New Zealand accent. But yeah, I think Omega herself is very much a force sensitive clone, and I think that's going to be explored later on. If I'm right, I think that's going to be explored later on in more episodes where that force.
Yeah, I've seen that
Mhm.
around, floating around the internet
Yeah.
too. That she's force sensitive, so
That'll
be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have heard that once, and I did put some thought to it because originally in Legends, the Kaminoans, after Order 66, they rebelled against the Empire, and the
Yeah.
Empire had to go in there and pretty much kill off the clones. That's how pretty much why they get rid of the clones, because the insurrection that the Kaminoans did, they took control of the clones they had and tried to rebel, and then the Empire.
And the fact that the Kaminoans are so secretive about Omega's existence, it yields a lot of different shit. It's like, yo, what would be so much of a problem that they would go to this sort of lengths to try to hide her true existence from the Empire? And
make sure she escaped.
Yeah, because they even aided in that escape and shit. And it's like, well, I mean, she might be force sensitive. That makes
Mhm.
sense. Because imagine if they made a force sensitive clone. That kind of
Yeah.
shifts a known paradigm in a way that kind of brings about more issues.
Right.
I mean, part of the reason why the Imperial Remnant was so gung ho about trying to get Grogu because of his force sensitivity
Mhm.
and trying to research like creating a clone, a force sensitive clone for Palpatine in the long run and shit.
So
So I feel like this is gonna tie in the Mandalorian in that sort of respect
mhm.
and like so yeah, I think Omega is force sensitive, and we haven't really like scratched the surface of like what the implications of that is from a narrative
Well,
point of view.
Mhm.
there is 16 episodes,
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
got time. More than enough.
Yeah, I definitely know she is special. I feel like there's something special with that little amulet she wears on her forehead.
Hmm.
It could contain the remaining DNA of Django or something, or it could be like a kyber crystal that could, she could turn into a lightsaber maybe. But if she's force sensitive, but just well,
or
or
she could be an amalgamation of like Django and some other
mm-hmm,
person, maybe
Mm,
like a Jedi. Because
mm.
one thing about Jedi is that like the Force, like even Luke said it, the Force runs strong in my family. That shit is hereditary like a motherfucker.
mm-hmm,
Like part of the reason why the Jedi was like frowned upon people marrying and having kids and shit, because they didn't want to create dynasties of Force users and shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean
yeah,
that's
yeah.
so maybe
so
yeah,
so
maybe she's not a clone. Maybe she's an actual
yeah.
offspring. But yeah,
She's a
so.
test tube baby. That's what that is. Maybe that's what that is.
I mean, are they? They're all test tube babies in there. Like,
They,
I
they,
don't,
they,
I don't think, I
they
don't think the Kaminoans mate anymore. They probably clone each other.
yeah, they shot a little bit of Django in a badass Jedi. That's what that's
That's
no.
dope.
No. Would you like a little bit of Django in you? Damn. I'm sorry I said that shit. Damn.
That was funny.
Yeah,
But
but
yeah. So after Meet Omega, that's and all the training, the other stuff went down where Crosshair got not infected, but experimenting
Enhance.
on,
Uh-huh.
enhanced like with the control. So all of a
Mhm.
sudden now he's under Target's control, basically, not even Empire control, under Target's control,
Yep.
and you see a direct conflict between Crosshair, like trying to take the head off of his
His
teammates.
brothers,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like, and so like this breakdown, this falling apart of the team without Cross. Do you think that the team will like stay strong without Cross? Because as you see earlier on, how fluid and well the team works together with all the pieces.
Mhm.
Now
Mhm.
that they have one missing piece, do you think you'll start to see like their teamwork start to fall apart a little
Yep.
bit? Yeah.
I think they're gonna make do, but it's not gonna be the same. They're not gonna be as effective as they were with Crosshair. And I do think we're gonna see them struggle for a little bit, missing Crosshair. So uh I just knew like Crosshair, the way it was set up, we saw it from a mile away. I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
obviously Crosshair is not gonna be part of the squad anymore. And you know what's funny, Ken? After the episode, Aaron, he texts Billy. He's like, I think I might have to change my name because in the Star Wars RPG, he's Crosshair. And
Mm-hmm.
after the episode, I was like, oh, you still want me Crosshair? He was
Mm-hmm.
like, nah, G.
I was like,
So yeah,
traitor.
right, that's what I told. I was like, traitor. But yeah, I think that we're gonna see the Bad Batch struggle without Crosshair, and I think Crosshair is gonna be on their neck. Like I don't think it's over with Crosshair. They're gonna run
Mhm.
into him quite a few times. But I do think that might go into prediction, so I'll just keep it at that. Yeah, I think it's gonna affect them.
okay. So usually with shit like this, there's like tropes that kind of exemplify like the whole dynamic that the Bad Batch has. where every person fits a sort of archetype. You have the leader, which is you have the leader who what's it called? Like the 5-man band. You have the leader who's like the lead singer, and they lead the group. Is the mastermind? Is the one who is level headed, makes the decisions. Shit. That would be Hunter. In this
okay.
case, that would be Hunter in this case. But you also have like what's called the Lancer, who's like the lead, who's like a foil to the leader. This would be Crosshair, because the whole dynamic that these two have, going back and forth, challenging each other, and so it's going to get to a point where there's going to be a confrontation between specifically these two, not between Crosshair and the Bad Batch. It's going to be specifically these fucking two. And yeah, this and like yeah, and it's going to come to a head. I don't think they will kill off Crosshairs. I mean, granted, Crosshair's going to be on the ass because he knows how they think. They're not going to kill off Crosshairs. I think, if anything, they're going to more or less liberate him from whatever the fuck is whatever fuck that inhibitor chip did to him and shit. Yeah, and then, you know, there's other tropes in this shit. You have the smart guy, which is Tech, then you got the big guy, which is Wrecker, and then you got the chick, who is clearly fucking Omega at this point.
Don't forget Echo, who's like
what about
support
Echo?
team.
Yes.
So, Echo is what you would call the Sixth Ranger. That's what he is. He's the one who kind of just joins the group on his own merits and shit. So like he's literally not even that.
The heart.
He's basically the White Ranger to like Hunter's Red Ranger, basically. That's sort of how I see it.
It's not because he's pale now, right?
No, fuck you. No, because like it's that same trope though. But yeah, I think both of them are going to have some sort of confrontation between the both of them, and that's going to yield some sort of I don't know. It's gonna be a weird confrontation, especially since especially, I mean, I can't not imagine that Captain Rex not showing up at this point, because they already said that he kind of especially with episode 2, they already said like that one clone was like, yeah, Rex came in here earlier and shit, like
name dropped.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I remember correctly, like in the trailer, like you see a snippet of like Rex at some point. I think they're like standing on top of some wreckage, ship wreckage or something. But yeah,
well, now that I think about it, I know for a fact that Rex is gonna be there because what's buddy name? D. Bradley Baker or some shit, voicing all the clones. Which damn, that's
right. I was like, man, that's a lot of VO work.
That's a lot of
like,
people.
Get paid good.
Like, bro, how many times you argue with yourself?
Like, bro, you are literally 75% of the cast. Like, god damn. Yeah. So I already know that. So yeah, Rex is gonna show up at some point, and I think they're eventually gonna save Crosshair or some shit. Or what's worse is that they save Crosshair, and Crosshair ends up sacrificing himself as some sort of penance. You never fucking know.
Because you know who knows if they're still alive during the time of like episode 4 or anything like that. So who knows how the story is gonna go with them. But yeah, it sounds like that leads on to a little bit of some of your predictions on it, Will. Is that
are we going into predictions now? We could.
Yeah. Because I mean, that's basically it. Because they escaped after Crosshair tried to cross them, basically.
Did you?
So yeah, with predictions, moving on. Well, this is episode 2 going on, but
Yeah,
how about we do it after episode 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so episode 2. I'm not the moderator. You do it.
So yeah, let's move on. We'll move on to episode 2, double feature.
I was like, did y'all switch? Y'all planned this? But go ahead.
I know, yeah. So yeah, we'll put episode 2 in the fold. So with episode 2, we see the team going to section Sector J19 to Seleucami. And we see a certain familiar face, even though the face is the same as every clone. But cut back, cut and crew. Well, family, cut and fam.
Mhm.
And I forgot how dope his wife is until later on in the show, in the episode. But yeah, but with them one of the Seleucami, what do you guys think about the fact that they ran to, well, what do you think is the relation, how they meet Cut in the first place, other than, I guess, some familiarity with, like, I don't think there's any defined backstory on like on how they know each other.
Mm.
I assume it was some sort of episode made in like either Clone Wars or fucking or whatever.
Mhm.
Because I have no context for any
Yeah,
of those characters.
because as far as I know, Cut is always like, as far as we knew his character, he's always been a deserter. Like, seemed like he deserted a little early in the war.
Oh, is that okay? See, I wasn't quite sure on this character. I was like, it felt like
Yeah,
I
it's
was
same
like
character from the Clone Wars series. It's the episode,
yeah,
Rex Stenlow episode where he got shot, and
got
yeah.
it.
So this is that
All
same
right.
deserter
That's
clone
him.
and his family. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
see, the
I don't
kid's a
know
little bit
how he.
older now, so that's why I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking, like, when that happened earlier on in the war, and so we always knew Cut as a deserter. So with the Bad Batch knowing Cut, that means that they may have known him as a deserter from the beginning. So I'm just
Mm-hmm.
waiting on what your thoughts is on like what you think their relationship is with Cut outside of just knowing him as a deserter clone.
Hmm. That's a good
I
question,
mean,
Ken.
I mean, shit. I mean, technically they're all deserters at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
they are.
I mean, saying whatever. I mean, given the fact that they see like the true purpose of of what the clones were, like like it was an entire war orchestrated in order to eliminate the Jedi, based pretty much. So now that that shit's completed, it's kind of like, well, what the fuck is going on now? So I kind of feel so there's sort of like an understanding between both of them, like
Mm-hmm.
given the fact that they themselves have been deemed as like wanted men and traitors to the empire, to the newly formed empire, and he himself is a deserter, because deserters were looked down upon,
Mm-hmm.
like by the rest of the clones and shit though. But this was back before Order 66. Order 66 kind of changed everything. It changed. So yeah, I think I don't want to say they sympathize. There's more of an understanding there,
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
more or less. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I feel.
mm,
Yeah, it was just interesting to me because that means the fact that Hunter knew to go to Slukamai to meet up with Cut, that means that he knew about Cut before Order 66.
mm,
That while before he saw the perspective of the chain of the regs, all of a sudden switching over from the Order, and so he knew he was a deserter, knew he was a traitor back then. But that back then they were strict on following orders, same as Crosshair. So, by knowing his existence and not, acting
mm,
on that, you gotta wonder, it's like, has there been seeds of like moral decision in Hunter from the beginning, from having this knowledge and not providing that knowledge to the rest of the team until they go there? Because
I mean, even in the first episode, he straight up lied to Crosshair, which is like, yeah, the kid died, he
Mhm.
jumped. So it's like that would follow his character if that is the case. Like he will make the good the good decision, not say anything to his teammates. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
think this whole thing is really meant, like, the series is meant to exemplify how different the Bad Batch are
Mm-hmm.
from every other clone, and
Yeah.
I think they're going to emphasize that in a number of ways, and I think this is just one of the few ways that they do that.
Yep. I think so too. Yep.
And with this meeting with Cut, this when we also start to see a lot of hints of Daddy Hunter being developed.
Mm-hmm.
Because you try like see multiple scenes with
Hunter.
like him and Omega acting or even having conversations, and like he's giving her words of advice and telling her not to do this or do that, and also saving her also. So he's really like seeing him jumping into this daddy role for
Mhm.
her, but he's just doing it as a protector. But unknowingly, it seems like he's turned into a father figure.
Yeah.
Um,
Like
Real
Mando
stepdaddy,
did.
real stepdaddy shit.
Yeah.
Because essentially that's what he is. He's been a stepfather for how long? For however the fuck long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because clones don't. Yeah, they're like they're sterile, aren't they? They can't have kids. Oh, can they or not?
Cut had kids.
They could cut. Yeah, cut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cut had kids. Yeah, they're kids in his kids in this episode. Yeah.
Are those his
Yeah,
kids? But because no,
Yeah, they
I
look
mean, that
just
don't
like
make,
Twi'leks, but
No,
yeah.
fucking Kanan. I mean, Kanan fucked Hera and had a kid. That motherfucker that looks nothing like a Twi'lek.
Oh, I mean, genetics.
Star Wars genetics. Star Wars
Yeah.
genetics. We have clones. We have a clone that's a different.
It's like humans.
It's
Yeah,
like-
the two different race of people. Sometimes they look more like one race than the other, or a
Yeah.
nice blend. You know,
dominant
you know.
genes.
Yeah, dominant genes.
I mean, he doesn't see that.
By
His
that
recessive
logic,
hairline. His recessive hairline don't seem to match up against her big.
I think old girl got some strange on the side. That's what I think.
Stop! Don't do that to her. Don't create that rumor.
Cut that shit out quick.
Or she already had kids. I mean, that would make more sense. All right.
Okay,
cool.
Go back to
focus.
Clone Wars. They explain it. They did the thing, but
I'm researching this right now.
Rex even asked, but how? But how? But yeah, so I think with that, that's where we see a cool connection between Cut and Hunter, because like Cut is a dad, and he's seeing that Hunter's has this kind of dad role from this situation going on, and so he's also giving him advice to help him out. So with this episode, they also showcase the more world building of the transition from Republic to Empire, of going in more in-depth introduction of what the chain code is and how they're like, okay, we're going to start registering the entire population of this whole galaxy so we can pretty much like track and find.
Yep.
So it just, I find that really cool and interesting, and I'm glad that they are doing that because it's showing the transition of in the building of the empire. And
because once, like, if you just watch the original trilogy, you don't really know how it got to that point. You're just like, all right, well, we're here. You know, the empire is here. But I like always looking at the beginning stages of a new system, a new order. It's always fascinating to me. So yeah, me and you, we're here on that part of
see, because like when you see some glimpse of it from Rogue One earlier on, but by that time, the Empire's already been around for almost 20 years. It comes to find out, Rogue One took place right before Episode 4, so that's a 19-year time span. So by that time, they're well seasoned Imperials.
Yep.
Like Krennic was mean as fuck. But yeah, with here you're seeing you're starting to see that oppression take place. We'll start to take fold, and I just wonder, like, I know we'll see that you align with me on that, Brittany. But what are your thoughts on it, Will, if you have any? On
I'm gonna need you to repeat the question because I just did research. So yeah, Cut is the adopted father. So
is he really?
He them ain't his genetic kids. So
okay.
I thought that shit was strange. So yeah, but repeat the question for me real quick.
Yeah, so basically what I see is that they're starting to trickle more information of the transition from Republic to Empire here. And they did a huge emphasis on introducing chain code in this episode. So I'm thinking, like, with that, with the notion, that kind of world building, what's your thoughts on how far or how extreme you think they may go with enforcing the transition from Republic to Empire in this show or in this season? Even they could show it on later on if they have more seasons, but in this first season, especially in this particular episode, how they just all of a sudden, boom, we already have this idea of registering every creature in this galaxy under this one unified system already enforcing in place. It's like they seem like they kind of planned this well ahead of time. And
Well, yeah, Palpatine was known for doing that shit.
And
But I
that's
was
how
like-
you maintain control, anyways. If you
Yeah.
know what everybody's doing.
But even
Like,
even
like,
even
one
Palpatine
thing
one,
you can-
yeah. I mean, he had
one thing
time,
you
a lot of
can
time to plan. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing you can count on Palpatine doing is being ready to stick his dick in other people's peanut butter. That shit is real. Like, and all right, you know what? The analogy is apt. I don't care how vulgar it is. It's a very apt analogy. I wouldn't want someone sticking their dick in my peanut butter, ruining my fucking fucking day, Joe. Hey, you know what? You know what? Blame Lewis back from the IAM department. That's real. All right. That is who taught me that reference. All right. See, Ken knows who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't know who Lewis is, and I wish
All
he
right,
never
so
said
there you
that.
go. All right,
Taking that memory out.
Anyway, but shit. Yeah, that's how I also learned terms like just bang it in the ass and get it over with.
Oh
Yeah,
my
there you go.
god.
Yeah,
So you feel like they're going to go with a brutal approach and it's going to just boom,
hell
just
yeah.
no
Hell
lose.
yeah, they're not gonna waste. They're not gonna waste time on trying to get control. I mean, Palpatine already like subdued the fucking Senate, and like and conveying the fact that the Jedi like betrayed the Empire. Well, betrayed the Republic and shit. Especially with the growing liquor burps. Especially with the growing like there was already a growing sentiment. Growing anti-Jedi sentiment, and the fact that they basically, like in the eyes of a lot of people, they basically became soldiers and stepping away from the roles of peacekeepers and shit. That pissed a lot of people off. That's why what Barriss Offee fucking bombed the fucking Jedi temple and did as much bullshit as she did. So I mean, and he and Palpatine actually worked that shit to his advantage, so on and so forth. So I don't think the Empire is going to like just kind of creep in and do whatever the fuck and just kind of slowly take away people's like liberties, like civil liberties and shit like that. They're just gonna debo that shit and take it for themselves. Like, no, I have rights. I have
Strong
rights.
arm.
What rights?
Mhm,
What
they have
rights,
to.
nigga?
Yeah.
What
Mhm.
rights?
Because this is
Nigga.
the most fragile stage right now. Like, if they don't get it
No.
under control right now, that shit can easily be tossed and flipped to the other side. So
No,
they'll
and
eliminate all the
plus-
Jedis and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and plus the Empire is promising stability, and they literally just got done fighting the war. And like the
Mhm.
thing is, the one thing that people are gonna want is stability and stability and just to be safe, especially for their families and shit. And the Empire is gonna exploit the hell out of that shit
Hell
to
yeah.
gain control. I mean, this is a fascist. This is a fascist state. They're gonna try to work people's ideology against them and try to present the idea that they are the only ones that can maintain order in a galaxy that was literally fighting a fucking war.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I
Hitler
mean,
did the same thing after like World War One. He was just like, well, let me
Yeah,
go
well,
ahead.
Yeah, the Empire is based a lot off.
Yeah,
Hitler,
exactly.
Hitler,
Exactly.
Stalin, Mussolini. It's the same story over and over
Yeah,
again.
exactly.
So basically, the Empire is going to provide enough results on the surface shit that make you think that they're doing good, but they're going to be actively gaining more and more control. The fact that they're documenting and coloring ships and people is only the first step of a much larger plan. It's all about control, and they're not gonna be coy around it though. It's gonna be like sort of like it's going to be like a smoke screen under the premise that we are here to help you, but they're going to be aggressive as shit about it. And like the one way to do that shit is to call the people into a false sense of security. And that's exactly what they're doing, especially in the post world, in the post war.
Post war world,
galaxy.
Post war world,
in the post war galaxy. So basically, the fact that the war is over and like there's no more separatists and shit, people are lulled into false insecurity, and they're willing to do everything.
Come in with open welcome hands. Open
hands. Yeah, man.
Oh.
They're glad they're being willingly walked to the executions, and when they figure that shit out, it's gonna be too late.
So with that being said, let's go on to predictions. Moving on to what you think will happen in episode 3. Starting off with you, Brittany.
Episode 3. Damn, I'm trying to think what happened at episode 2. Obviously, Omega did not go with.
She didn't go with Cut and his fam.
So now she's with the Bad Batch again. I think. Did they say where they were gonna go after when they left?
I don't remember that. No.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't think they did. I just the scene that took away from me is when Wrecker was just tossing that Gonk droid up and down like it was a balloon.
Who is this? Who manages this, bro?
That scene that had me cracking up. That whole scene. So
I do think that they're gonna. I do think that Hunter's still gonna try to get this girl, get Omega somewhere safe. So I think wherever the next place they're gonna go is probably another ally of his that he thinks. Yeah, maybe look for Rex and try to get her to a safe space, because being with them, she's not safe. So that's all I can really predict for episode 3.
It's hard to predict. It's hard to predict because this episode 2 was an episode that really shouldn't have happened as early as it did. It's not even filler. It's just the fact that they tried to establish this sort of father-daughter bond between Hunter and Omega, and there was no bond to be had. They literally just met each other. If this shit happened like episode 7 or 8 and shit, that would have made more sense after they spent some time together and built like a sort of camaraderie between each other, when they got to know each other, got to see, and it's a relationship that shit takes time to build. And that's the one thing I didn't like about episode 2 is the fact that they kind of forced this sort of ideal, this sort of father-daughter relationship between the both of them, and like it's so early, and it's kind of like, man, this is not the time to be having this episode. So essentially, I don't know where this shit is going, and I think they're just gonna meet another ally in order to get like more perspective on what the fuck is going on, and because they never really inferred what their actual plan is. Basically, their plan is just to get away from the Empire, and specifically to get away from Crosshair, because Crosshair knows exactly how they move. So yeah, beyond that, there's no really inference, like there's really no like an inference of like how they're gonna what their plan is, how they're gonna do whatever. So
which is exciting though. I like that. I like that we can't just predict what's gonna happen next. So it's refreshing. But Will, I wanted to counter one of your points about it may be too early to try to establish this whole father-daughter relationship. The only reason I would say maybe they needed to kind of touch upon it, because Omega was automatically infatuated with the Bad Batch. Like as soon as she like met them, she was just like, "You're my friend and I want to sit with you." And it was just like she was on them. And I think because she's been around her caretakers and the clones that all think alike, literally they were the only people that were different, and she kind of latched on. Yeah, exactly. And I think for him, obviously Hunter has a soft spot for kids. Like he let Caleb live, so it just kind of like, I do think they kind of try to beat it over our head with it. I agree on that, but I do think that they needed to kind of touch on it in the next episode, and I like how
Well,
they did it. So yeah.
Well, my argument isn't the fact that the episode wasn't needed. It was just that it happened too
Too early.
soon. Like, yeah, it happened way too early. Like,
But what really
episode.
happened that was like, like, oh well, that feels unnatural. I don't know. To me, it felt fine. I just think it was too heavy-handed. I don't know. Maybe it's the woman in me. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was fine, but also I think the situation in which it was injected into didn't fit. Exactly. I mean,
Okay.
they could have, I say, maybe have them build that relationship better in some different
Yeah,
scenarios.
that's literally my argument. Like, you can't force a relationship. It takes time to build that shit. Like, if it happened a couple episodes later, and like where you see that camaraderie build between Omega and Hunter, then I get it. But like episode 2 out the gate, fresh off of Camino, is kind of like, man, no, I don't, I can't. I'm not really buying it. Like, it feels too forced.
Mhm.
So
Well, to each his own. But yeah, it
it,
wasn't
like
me.
it just bothers me as like just from a narrative point of view. I'm like, yo, this is
Mhm.
really something that should have came much later, in my opinion, rather than as early as it did. But again, it's
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping maybe they did it early because they're trying to get out the way because they have a lot of content to push out, a lot of good stuff to
Yeah,
one
probably.
can only hope.
get. But yeah, so as you guys mentioned, yeah, with no real lead on for the end of the episode, like it's really hard to predict what may happen next. So, but from that, I would say, yeah, the only lead I would say they got from episode 2 is that Rex was recently went through there and met with Cut also. So
Mhm.
I would say the next step would probably be to try to meet up with Rex because, especially talking with. Oh yeah, I just remember they has more talks about with Tech that about the inhibitor chip. So with Hunter had more knowledge about the inhibitor chip and thinking, okay, maybe how Crosshair is being controlled. Maybe he wants to see with Rex and how to resolve that. But
Okay.
that's it. That's my thoughts on what prediction I have for it. But I looking forward to the next episode. And yeah, so I hope everybody enjoyed our discussion. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe down below, and tune in next time for our review of episode 3. Until then, we Echo 4 signing out.
Bye.
Deuces.
This is